Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to be talking about the options for legally importing an R34 Skyline GTR. This is going to be a lot more specific about the GTR model, not about the sedan or any of the coupe versions that had for instance, the RB25 motor instead of the RB26 or rear wheel drive instead of all wheel drive. Talking about the Godzilla, the big one specifically. So I will be touching briefly on legally importing the Skyline into California. I'll just be talking about a couple little things here and there. Nothing like, I'm not going to get into too much detail about Californians wanting to import an R34. Most of this video is for people that are not in California. If you're in California, I'm sorry guys, and I am in California, but if you're in California, your chances of getting an R34 GTR have gone down significantly, and I'm going to have a whole nother video for you that's going to be just for, you know, if you want to be importing into California, and that's going to be for pretty much any Japanese car, but also a little bit of more emphasis on the R34 GTRs. In any case, I just want to let you know that importing even if you're not in California though, for the rest of you, it's not going to be easy and it's going to be expensive. You probably already know that, but I just want to kind of put together all this information that I've collected from doing my research and help you guys do and present it to you. So anyway, why don't I tell you, some people are definitely new to this channel, probably came here for GTR content only, and you may not know who I am, so I figure I'll just kind of give you a quick blurb about myself. My name is Alex. I call this channel Aparsh, and I own a computer business in San Diego, and I absolutely love cars. I currently have a 2018 Ford Raptor, a 2006 Mitsubishi Lancer Evolution 9 MR, a 2007 BMW Z4M Coupe project car, and a 2019 Porsche 911 GT3 RS. Those are all a lot of mouthful of car names. Anyway, in the past, I've owned Nissan 350Z that was I eventually twin turboed, and I also later owned a Nissan R35 GTR, which was only about a year ago when I sold it to get my GT3 RS. But I absolutely love Nissans, and I have a lot of really good memories with them. I have, you know, if you asked me what my favorite car brand was, I would easily say Nissan. So anyway, that's kind of part of why I'm interested in buying an R34 GTR, and I've also been pretty lucky. I would say lucky, fortunate, and because the business that I own has been doing really well. I've been putting a lot of hard work into it, and that hard work has really paid off. So I've been fortunate enough to be in a position where I could seriously consider buying an R34 GTR next year in 2020. So let's talk about these I call them problems about trying to buy an R34 GTR. All right, guys, so problem number one. Problem number one is the pricing. And when I say pricing, you probably already know what I mean. The cost, how much it costs to buy one of these, what the prices are for Nissan R34 GTRs. They're really expensive right now. And they weren't crazy expensive in the past, but they've only been going up and up and up and up. And, you know, they're sure, you could easily speculate, well, they're probably not going to go any higher, but no one knows that. And I personally think that they will continue to go higher based on the low volume of them that were produced. I'm not going to give you exact numbers. You can do this yourself. Go on Wikipedia and look up Skylines, and you'll see that they every year from R32 to R33 to R34, they made less and less Skylines, and they made less and less GTRs. So the car that everyone in the world wants was not built as much as you probably think it was. There really aren't that many. The nice thing is that they're all in one small island for the most part, but they're expensive. And when they were brand new, they were between $40,000 and $60,000. They made a lot of different versions over the 3 years of production. Some of them were more expensive than others, but you know, if you go back about, I think it was 5 years ago, they were going for, I think it was like around $30,000 or $40,000 used. You know, at that point they were 15 years old, and now they're 20 years old. You know, talking about 1999. Sorry, 1999 is 20 years old, and you know, they're going for like the really good ones that are very nice and are not the really super rare models. They're going for 80 to usually more like 100 if they're really low mileage and stuff like that. But pretty much a basic, not even great condition one, they're definitely going for 70 plus, more like 80 right now. For that, so that's again just more basic versions of them with even with higher mileage are going to be going for minimum about 70 or 80. The really rare ones are going for way more. So, and we'll get into that later. But anyway, so again, the first problem is how much they cost right now, and assume, and I would assume they're only going to keep going up. That's the way I'm looking at it. So the next problem is the 25-year rule, or the problem itself is the fact that R34 Skyline GTRs they're not 25 years old yet. So that is a problem because you can't legally import them into the United States right now, other than a couple versions I'll talk about later. So there are a couple ways you can do it, and we'll get into that. But a general run-of-your-mill R34 GTR is not legal to be imported in the United States at the moment. There's plenty of ways people are still getting around that, and you'll see people on YouTube driving them around and stuff. But they could also get in big trouble if like they got in a car accident and their insurance. There's things that could happen. I'm not going to get into all that, but they're really not legally driving them here. They're doing gray area stuff. So in any case, for the people that don't know what the 25-year rule is, basic summary of that is it means that if a car was not originally sold in the United States but becomes 25 years old, in most cases you can import it legally into the United States to drive, pending some other inspections and testing by your state, which does vary a lot state to state. For instance, California is ridiculous, and again, it's so ridiculous. I'll have a whole video about California and importing. So, but popular cars that are now legal to import from Japan include the R32 Nissan Skyline GTR, the R33 Nissan Skyline GTR, the Generation 3 FD Mazda RX-7, the Mark IV Toyota Supra, Acura NSX, and there's a bunch of other, but those are kind of like the bigger legendary cars that most people know about. So in any case, the first year of the R34 GTR, as I mentioned, was 1999. So the first 25-year rule for those cars will be about 5 years in the future. But there is a legal loophole, if you want to call it loophole, and that's called show or display. And that will let people purchase certain vehicles on a specific list at any time, no matter what age the car is. And so let's talk more about show or display and why it also presents its own problem. So problem number 3 is show or display, or the rules and regulations surrounding it. So I'm just going to read you this blurb that's up at the top. I know my fat mug, or whatever you want to call it, ugly mug of my webcam face here is cutting off some of it you can't see. And there's pretty much only one important thing on that's cut off, which is how many miles you can drive per year, which is, I'll probably say it like 3 times, but it's 2,500 miles per year with show or display. So I'm going to read this real quick for you guys. The show or display rule is a statutory amendment to the United States Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards that allows certain privately imported automobiles to be exempted if the vehicle in question is deemed to meet a standard of historical or technological significance. That part's like the most important part of the whole thing. How the car will be approved, basically. But the amendment, which became law on August 13th, 1999, is intended to apply to vehicles that could not feasibly be brought into compliance with the United States Federal Motor Vehicle Safety Standards, including requirements for destructive testing, crash testing, and that do not have a similar make or model certified for sale in the United States market. Applications are managed by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration and may allow limited use on public roads, 2,500 miles per year. Because the expense and effort required to import a vehicle with this exemption, the approved vehicle list is mainly limited to high-value sports and touring cars. So the thing I really want to talk about here for the wording is this historical or technological significance. That's kind of important because, as you can see, I'm going to mouse over this so you guys know what I'm talking about. There are 2 different R34 GTRs that are on the list, and there's even one R32 that's on this list. Those were deemed historical or technologically significant. And that's mainly because there were such limited numbers of those produced. So as I mentioned earlier, there really aren't that many R34 Skyline GTRs that were even made for those 3 years versus how many were made in the past. And then specifically with those two models that I have circled there, those were very limited, like under 400 units, I believe, for both of them. So they're pretty hard to find, and they're worth a ton of money now. So the problems themselves regarding all of this stuff is, one, 2,500 miles a year for some people wouldn't be very much. I would be okay with that, but supposedly it's not regulated super hard for that 2,500 miles. Two, I've been told on the phone by someone that works at probably the biggest importing company in the United States that if you do show or display, that if you decide you want to resell the car at some point in the near future, that it becomes a huge problem and you probably have to sell it over into another country. For some people, that would be a pretty big problem. And then three, if you want to do show or display for an R34 GTR, you again have to get one of these two models, which are the 2002 M-Spec NER, which I believe was like 380 made, or the 1999 R34 V-Spec early model limited edition, which is the Midnight Purple 3. If anyone is interested in what the Midnight Purple 3 is, I was showing one on the video earlier in the background, people detailing it, and then that lucky guy Adam LZ just bought one like a couple weeks ago. He's a very popular YouTuber. You can check him out if you want to see his car. They just like detailed it yesterday, as of today's the 19th of December 2019. So if you're looking for it, look around that date. But anyway, I digress. So let's move on to the fourth problem, which is the combination of all the other problems. That when you take all these other problems and you put them together, you create this recipe of difficulty. So the combination of those things let you create only 3 different ways that you can actually get an R34 GTR. So number one, you can wait 4 to 5 years. That's based on like when the chassis was made and stuff. So it might be only 4 years if you get like the first one made or whatever. So it might be 5 years, it might be 6, it might be 4, but around 5 years, right? You can wait and then decide that at that point you're going to go buy one. I personally wouldn't suggest that because I bet you the prices are going to be through the roof 5 years from now. Number two, you can buy one now and then you can have it stored and maintained in Japan until the 4 to 5, 6 years go by and now it's legal to bring it over. And this is both of those last two things I just mentioned, those are assuming you're not in California. If you're in California, it's not that easy. And again, there's going to be a whole nother video about that. So number three, you can buy one of the 2 special versions mentioned earlier for show and display. Or show or display, sorry, I said that incorrectly. However, expect to pay somewhere around $50,000 more for one of those show or display versions of cars. I mean, the Midnight Purple 3 or the M-Spec NER, I mean, they're going for like 130, 150. They're going for really big money right now. And I'm serious, every time one sells, your chances of getting one goes down because the people that are buying them now from Japan, they're not just going out and reselling them, they're holding on to them. So Debbie Downer, gloom and doom, right? But seriously, that's what's going on. Anyway, so if you're in California and you want one of those cars, expect to pay tens of thousands of dollars in addition to those prices, 150 plus maybe 20 or 30, maybe even 50,000 more just to bring it into California compliance. Really expensive, guys. Big time money. Anyway, with that said, what car do I really want? The car that's on the screen right here. This is the 2002 M-Spec NER. It's available in this like kind of silvery light green color. You'll see a lot of them in that color. I'm not extremely wild about that color. I think it looks cool. I probably would leave it that color. But it has the 2002 M-Spec NER has the bigger turbos, so that it's actually from the factory. It's probably the fastest version, other than like Z-Tunes and stuff like that. It's supposed to be more of a touring car, so I want to say it has a little bit less track technology stuff compared to the V-Spec. There's a V-Spec NER as well. So the M-Spec NER is supposed to be a little bit more, I think, like comfort on the inside and some other things like that. But it's a really awesome car and really limited edition. I think it's perfect for what I would want. So I'm going to be looking for one, and I hope I'll get one. And I don't know if I'm going to be selling my GT3 RS to make room for it, or there's a bunch of other changes I'm thinking about making with my current cars I have. So in any case, I appreciate you guys sticking around for this long. And if you're a Californian, I've said this like 5 times in the video, sorry for being repetitive, but if you're a Californian and you are serious about wanting to get an R34 Skyline, I'm sorry, but it sucks. It's not easy. And stay tuned to my channel if you want to see a whole video about all the reasons why it's going to be difficult for you. All right, guys. Talk to you soon.